What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. In this video, we are jumping into Superman Action Comics 1051. This is the beginning to Dawn of DC, the year-long initiative kicking off many new stories. From Action Comics to a Superman #1. From Harley Quinn to Doom Patrol, from Cyborg to Shazam to Steelworks to the Penguin. Now, DC Comics is embarking on a year-long storytelling event, coming out of the events of Dark Crisis and Lazarus Planet. This is supposed to be our heroes moving towards the light. At least that is what Jim Lee has been telling us. With brand new series, brand new story arcs, coming from some of the top creative members in comics. They are claiming that this is one of the most ambitious initiatives that they have ever done, but this is a chance for them to also tell bigger and bolder stories from across all the lines. And you know, here at Comic Breakdown, we are going to be covering all of Dawn of DC. There is going to be a playlist set up with every single issue that is part of this initiative, from every storyline to every one-shot. And it all starts right here. So make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we get into this story, I do want to let it be known that there are two other side stories inside Action Comics. You have Lois and Clark 2, which is kind of Lois and Clark with Jonathan at a younger age. And then there is Power Girl Reborn. But for the sake of this video, we are just going to be focusing on what is happening on the main story, as we pick up in Metropolis, an article that has gone out by Lois Lane. This article entitled Winds of Change. When we talk about Metropolis, it is divided into two parts. When we're talking about the history, there is the time before Superman, and then there is the time after. Prior to Superman's arrival in Metropolis, Metropolis dealt with a lot, from corrupt courts to out-of-hand violent protests, from police beatings to school curriculum, fashion, politics, even the weather was a matter of debate. The city had turned into a cesspool. Violent crime was on the rise. But the winds all changed one day with the arrival of Superman. An age of miracles had begun. And much like those days, Metropolis is facing off against some of the worst stuff that they ever have. Even dealing with some of these violent protesters and rioters to this day, people are getting bolder. It is becoming harder and harder to fight these fights. But as long as that S remains on Superman's chest, there is reason for hope. With Superman and his entire super family here to break up this fight, to break up this violent protest, where people are trying to drive over protesters. People are bringing guns to lay down those they disagree with. In that crowd, that is where we have Metallo, teleporting himself out of here. Lex Luthor still technically inside of his brain, being able to communicate anytime he chooses. Now Metallo's job is to take down Superman. Lex Luthor is holding his sister prisoner, holding her captive, and until he does this job, Lex Luthor will not let her go. But he also says that tomorrow is his last chance, that if he ever wants to see his sister again, he knows the deal. That is what takes us to the home of the Kents. We see Connor and the Superman of China sitting down playing video games. We have Jonathan, who is playing with the new adopted children that Superman and Lois had taken in. This is a new regular day in the household of the Kents. But as they all sit and play games, Jonathan, he wants to play a different board game. Going over to the closet, what we see is the Superman costume that Clark had worn when he was on Warworld. That is when Lois rushes over and she closes the door, saying that the games are in the other closet and that you should probably stay out of this one for personal space reasons. Now, this is definitely an implication that Lois has Clark dress up in his quote-unquote slave costume while they do their thing in the bedroom. And while I do very much find it hilarious, the implication is that there is some kind of sex act that goes on using this costume, which is fine. But this comic is also rated 13. I don't know if a 13-year-old is actually going to get what they are implying here, but I do feel it's a little bit of an adult scene if we're gonna say that this is allowed for 13-year-olds. But that is when Clark calls everybody into the other room. We have Jon and Natasha, Connor and Jonathan, a little bit of everybody. But what he is talking about is Steelworks Tower is about to open tomorrow in Metropolis. He is hoping that Metropolis will be the world leader in scientific innovation. But that is not the only thing that they want to discuss. They are officially introducing 2 children into the super family. Those 2 children being Otha Ra and Ulsa Ra, the youngest children that were on Warworld, but also 2 of the bravest and most remarkable people that Clark has ever met, as they are given their costumes, that symbol of hope that is marked on it. They could not be happier. Jonathan watching this, and he's not really jealous, but you can tell underneath the surface that it does bother him a little. These are the years that were taken away from Jonathan. So the question has to be asked, does a part of Jonathan feel even the slightest bit envious or jealous that his parents are kind of getting that opportunity that they never got before? The opportunity to see these children raised up through childhood to eventually become adults. The thing that was robbed from Jonathan and his parents. But on the surface, Jonathan seems and appears to be okay with everything. In fact, he seems happy that they get this opportunity. But that is what takes us over to the next day. The super family showing up and having the new members, the 2 children that are now being dubbed the Super Twins. This is the opening of Steelworks Tower. This tower is going to be the tallest building in Metropolis. And so with all cameras on them, we have Jon who begins to give his speech, talking about leading science, leading innovation, so on and so forth. That is when Connor senses something. He goes up to see what it might be, just checking on it very quickly. He sees somebody asking if they should be here, but then he gets hit with a huge blast. We see an eruption from the tower. The ground begins to split, and the super family, they jump into action. Right now, they are trying to hold this building up. They are trying to stop it from falling. As it breaks into small pieces, they're not sure if they can handle this. But that is where Clark shows up on scene, letting them know that they all got this. And then Clark hears a whisper on the wind. That whisper is Metallo, with him letting Clark know that this is not about revenge or something stupid like that. In fact, Metallo was good with running out the clock, letting his sister live any kind of life that she wanted. But with Superman messing with the wrong people yet again, doing his self-righteous hero thing, this has caused Metallo's sister to be put in the line of danger. And while Superman doesn't fully understand what he is talking about, Metallo, with Connor in his grasp, appearing to be unconscious and wounded, he is letting Superman know that for everything he has done, he now has to kill the Man of Steel. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Definitely not a bad start to Dawn of DC. How much they're gonna use some of these characters is still very much up for debate, but I do hope that we see more of the Superman of China. But this is laying the groundwork for what is yet to come. We have the adventures of Superman Jon Kent, where he is going to be facing off against Ultraman, the man who imprisoned him for all of those years. The man that stole his childhood. We have the new dubbed Super Twins. They are going to be playing some kind of huge part in things moving forward. They have the potential to be stronger than any of the Superman that we have seen so far. But if this has shown us anything, is that we are going to be exploring more of the super families. From Connor to Steel to Superman of China, it looks like we are going to be much more intertwined, building up the House of L. Because if you guys remember in Future State, House of L was actually one of my favorite stories to come out of that whole event. The House of L picking us up way in the future. We have seen the super family branch out so vast and so big that they have become essentially their own empire. And I do hope that it heads in that direction, because those stories were phenomenal, and I would love to see more expanding on all of that. But like I said, this is just the beginning. Dawn of DC is here. Let's see if DC can land the mark. Let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to get completely caught up on everything that has been going on with Action Comics, be sure to check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It is gonna get you completely caught up on everything that has been going on with this story. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership, much like Patreon having 5 different tiers. From $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to getting free comics every single month. Not only does this help out the channel tremendously, but you are getting tons of perks in the process. Now, if you are unable to do any of that, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.